Julian Edelman, 12 NFL seasons, 3 rings. He's got that podcast, Games with Names, every episode, every Tuesday a new episode. He's also on Fox NFL Kickoff. We were just talking about that during the break. He's been a great seamless fit. So a lot of what I look at from a football team is a simple question. What are you? New England came out really physical against Cincinnati. So they've defined what they want to be. Mm-hmm. I watched the Jets last night. I don't know what they are. They get no tight end production. They don't love their OC. Aaron now, Julian, doesn't move. He's Kirk Cousins. He's sitting back. He's not moving around. That's the new Aaron. I guess there's hope, but I mean, you had some probably game ones of the year. Do you kind of look at the Jets and go, hey, it's week 1, they'll be fine? Or do you see things that you wonder if that's just what they are?
You know, I pumped the brakes with the whole Jets game last night. We got to put it into reality. They played the defending NFC championship team against the 49ers, a team that has continuity, that's played with each other for multiple years now. We can't just expect the Jets, who were a 7-win team last year, to go out there and compete with like one of the best teams in the league. Now, week 1 is always a little tricky. There's things that happen you don't understand, you don't prepare for. You over prepare for certain things that don't happen. And Aaron Rodgers is coming off an Achilles injury, so he hasn't played with that team in a long time. You know, I think this could be used as a good thing for the Jets if they take this as a measuring stick game. Like, hey, guys, we just played a championship team, which you heard them in the post game talk about that, and say, we need to, step up that urgency in the building everywhere. And then they also could use it for, they got gashed by a Kyle Shanahan offense who runs that same exact offense, Miami. They play them twice a year. So they got a little jump start for Miami. You could take that. And then also, that offense has so much catching up to do. I mean, Breece Hall is still there. Wilson's a really good target. And Aaron Rodgers, he's smart enough to learn what he has to do to be productive. That was his first game with live action bullets. So, I'm pumping the brakes on the whole thing. He could still throw the ball. Yeah. You could see he could still throw the ball.
Still pretty.
So once they start figuring out, like everyone, who their team is, everyone may not. You said that there's a few teams that have certain identities. Yeah, they're trying to be that identity, and it worked this week. They still have to develop that for the next 2-3 weeks. That it's not like we're not pushing panic button on the Jets yet.
So you were a 7th-round pick from Kent State.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy's a 7th-round pick. And when you're a 7th-round pick, you're usually not a 4-3 guy or not a 6-4 guy. Mm-hmm. But there is a determination that comes with later-round picks. I mean, last night the Niners had an undrafted running back, a 7th-round quarterback, a 7th-round receiver. Do you ever look at, with a Brock Purdy, did you look at being a 7th-rounder as a bit of an advantage because expectations are so low? You're in the shadows of the building. I mean, I look at Brock Purdy. There's no pressure. Yeah. You watch these Caleb Williams, and it's Jaden Daniels. We're already banging on him after week 1. Purdy, to me, looks so comfortable with what he is. That's just when I see a quarterback, I see a kid that not nervous feet, makes the right read. He's a cerebral kid, obviously, to pick it up. I mean, what do you see? Do you see a guy that's going to be limited eventually, or are we looking at the best 7th-round quarterback ever taken?
We could be looking at the best 7th-round quarterback we've ever taken in the league. And for the sheer fact that he is always improving. So if he struggled some last week with a certain throw, you see him go after it the next week and he makes that throw. He still fits the ball in tight windows, and he's going to grow more when the playmakers start disappear. Because in the next 2 or 3 years, he's gonna lose a Kittle, he's gonna lose a Debo, and that's when you'll see his growth. You're not gonna see it right now. He's a really great game day operator who delivers the football where it needs to be. He knows how to identify the defense. He knows how to call out the protection, and those are huge things for a quarterback to do. If you get 3 of those things or 2 of those things done, then you could start using your football athleticism. You could start learning the game. All these people that rag on Brock Purdy for being a game manager. Like that's your job as a quarterback. You are the game manager. Like you go out, you call the play, you touch the ball every play. And so you have the mercy of the team in your hands at every single play that you have, that you touch the ball. So, like, why wouldn't you want a guy that's going to make great decisions, that can see the defense, that can communicate the play, that can see who matchups? Like, that's what you want at the quarterback position. I think Brock Purdy's doing a great job. I hope he continues to keep it going. So
it's crazy to me. The Chargers didn't win football games unless they scored 24 points or more. Sunday, they only scored 22 and they win decisively. Describe to me or explain to me how a coach can come in with the same players and they are significantly more physical. It's the same guys.
Yeah.
And their first 2 picks were offensive guys. What does Harbaugh do at every stop? I mean, tell me a coach you had. Like, to me, offense is choreography and efficiency. Defense is a lot of physicality and willing to be violent.
Yeah.
Willing to test your soul. I mean, I watched the Chargers. I'm like, it's the same guys. That defense was just different.
You could argue they have a worse team this year, like talently.
Oh, yeah. Offensive,
and it goes down to how they practice, how they prepare. And you could, I sat down with Harbaugh once when, I was in free agency, and you could just see this guy had a different, like, tune to him. Like, he just lived, breathed, died football. And when you have a guy like that, I know for a fact those guys practice hard. I know their practices are probably mentally grueling. I know he has this whole shtick where he's like, the fun guy. But I guarantee behind closed doors he'll get up in you if you need it, if the team needs it. And that's what's being shown on the game field. A tough team that practices hard, that prepared, that has the discipline to do what it takes to win a game, not put up numbers,
right,
or make headlines. Doing what it takes to win that specific game. That's what Harbaugh does well.
Yeah. I got to ask you about the Patriots. We had talked about it during the week, and I'm like, listen, T. Higgins is gone, Boyd is gone, Mixon's gone. Those are elite players.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to get. It was a corner game for me. It wasn't the game I watched primarily. The one thing that was obvious was how physical they were. The tackling was good. I mean, is it a one-off? What did you take from that team?
With a game that the Patriots played and to come out on week 1 and have a big victory against a team they probably should have lost to, it's great for that building, because that coaching staff, Gerard Mayo, everything that this staff has been preaching to the team in organized team activities, mini camps, training camp, everything that they've been preaching just showed that it worked.
Right.
So if they continue to play...
The messaging worked.
The messaging worked. So that's how you get guys to buy in. That's how you get your confidence to grow bigger. That's how you get guys to come in a little earlier, because everything that they work hard on, they got some production out of it. They got a little taste of what it tastes like to win and be 1-0. So, going into this second week against Seattle's got to come across the country.
Yep.
They got a new head coach. The Patriots, if they play the game the way they played last week, they'll win. They'll win this week. They'll be 2-0. Mistake free, get a couple turnovers, win the special teams battle, win on third down. They did every single one of those things. It looked like a stereotypical Bill Belichick type game. With the messaging from Gerard Mayo, which is ironic that also with Seattle, that these two teams have different coaches, but it seems like they have the same philosophies of the coaches before, with a person that can communicate it differently.
Yeah. So Bill Belichick's on Instagram. Are you following him?
I think I am following Coach.
I will say, Bill's got a wealth of information and knowledge and wisdom. I think, and I don't blame him. He's like Ryan Seacrest, somebody told me today. He's like got 9 jobs, and good for him. But I will say, when I see him, he's kind of disconnected from coaching briefly. And I said this when I work with Sean Payton. Bill's got too much wisdom to do what we do. Yeah. Like, there's too much there he has to give. If I just said, where will he, because he's going to send his resume out again. Do you think he's kind of a Northeast guy? It'll be like for instance, Jets comes open. You think he would stay? Would he take? Does he feel like to you there's like 5 jobs he would take, or is the league open to him?
I think the situation has to be right. Northeast probably helps. He's got family there.
Yeah.
That's where all the family's at. The real enticing one to me is if the New York Giants open up. And I'm not calling for anyone's job. Right. I love Dayball. Dayball is my favorite. But, the fate of what they've put on the field.
It's all Daniel Jones.
And then you're going to go down with that ship. And so if that opens up, I remember vividly anytime we played in New York or we played the Giants, you could just see a little jingle in Belichick's spirit because he loved talking about those old Giants teams and he loved talking about that organization. You could tell that he loved the New York Football Giants and with everything that he exemplified from the old footage of when he was the DC at, the Giants playing against that West Coast, same kind of TE trap play the Niners ran that everyone runs. He would bring up these old Giants. He just loves the Giants. So I think that would be, probably the place he would want to go to. But depending on other situations, I mean, he's gonna probably want to go somewhere where he doesn't have to, rebuild something completely. I don't know.
Well, I mean, in fairness, he does see the value of quarterback.
He does.
I mean, I think that's that's why Harbaugh went to the Chargers. You get Herbert.
Yeah.
That's why it's a great gig.
Yeah. Cowboys.
Yeah, Dak Prescott. Although I will tell you, I want to talk Dallas. I will tell you is that people bang on Mike McCarthy, and I've been critical. And because it's the Cowboys' job, Julian, it's on TV. So any clock snafu, any situational mistake, I mean, I remember when Andy Reid was in Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah.
Was getting crushed. And I'm like, if he's in Jacksonville, nobody watches the games. I watched Dallas. I thought they looked spectacularly well coached.
They did, and they always do. Regular season, they look great. And I went on the pregame show. I went on Fox Kickoff and said, I'm not worried about Dak Prescott this week. I'm not worried about Dak Prescott in week 13. I'm worried about Dak Prescott in December and January. That's when you really want to see if all the investment of everything they did in the offseason during this, that's when it matters, because going 12-4 and getting knocked out in the first round again, that's not what we're looking for. Dallas, Dak Prescott's a really good football player. We all know that. CeeDee Lamb looked like he didn't miss a beat. And to their credit, they got the ball to CeeDee Lamb. And they got the ball to CeeDee Lamb. Their star. Mike McCarthy, I mean, he's a great football coach. He's got a Super Bowl, but you're also, like you just said, we're playing and every game is on TV. I mean, we talked about Dallas on this show all off season, and that's just how it's always going to be, So the expectations are always extremely high, which they make those expectations high. And so if it goes sour or if it goes in the wrong direction this playoffs, I could see them making a move. Yeah. And it's not like they're firing them. It's just they're not renewing the contract, so it makes everyone look all right. Yeah. When you were in the league, I'll wrap it up this. When you were in the league, New England didn't do a lot of splashy acquisitions in free agency. It was draft develop. They'd find a B player that was a good fit. They'd go to Cleveland, find a linebacker. But it's interesting because Baker had a reputation, Baker Mayfield. And then he goes to Tampa, and it's like he's grown up, he's changed, and it's like he drove me nuts in Cleveland. Now he's one of my favorite quarterbacks. In your experience in the NFL, it's like he's had a little bit of a personality makeover. He's grown up. Did you see that happen a lot where a guy comes in and he gets money, he's immature, and then his next stop, it's like, oh, he's a grown-up. Or are you what you are? I mean, go to your career. Like Matt Slater was mature the first day he walked into the building. Without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, there's just guys. But in terms of most of the guys you played with, they are what they are. Or are there some Baker Mayfield where it's like, wow, I'm humbled. And they really change and become much better leaders and more adult. Yeah, I don't have a specific example of that, but it does happen. I mean, you look at Rich Gannon early in his career. He wasn't anything, and then he goes to the Raiders and becomes MVP and was like one of the first change your arm trajectory type quarterbacks. Yeah. sometimes these guys get a little taste, a second life when they get a change in environment, and Baker Mayfield has done that. And what a perfect situation for him. I heard you talking about, he doesn't have the expectations following Tom Brady, but also going into a team that has continuity for like the last 8 years. I mean, they have the same dudes. They have one of the best tackles in the leagues with Wirfs. They got Godwin and Evans, who are like really good football players. So like, that's a perfect thing. But, I don't have any specific examples. We pretty much had a lot of good dudes in our locker room. Like if you weren't there. And that's just how it was in New England. But, another team that does that, I think, that always has a pretty tight locker room that I was just so impressed with was the San Francisco 49ers. Like this Mason kid, undrafted guy comes, and it's not just Kyle Shanahan that we got to give our credit to. It's got to be John Lynch. It's got to be the York family, because that whole, that trifecta that they have, like to be able to find a Brock Purdy, to be able to have a running back come in and do what he did, the Mason kid with 140 yards against a really good defense. Like that's continuity, and that comes from the trifecta. So,
San Francisco does a better job of getting Kittle's a fifth rounder, of getting production,
and then making a splash with Williams. Hey, we need to address something. Let's get Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, that's you got to tip your cap to everyone over there, and they got to get it done this year. So there's no more, let's get it done, boys.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.